Why Not? A queer podcast.
Thank you to our sponsor, Pineapple Healthcare, an award-winning primary care clinic right here in Orlando.
Pineapple Healthcare offers mental health counseling, HIV, STI testing and treatment, and specializes in care for the LGBTQ plus community.
Open Monday through Saturday. Call today at 407-553-6336 and schedule your appointment.
Pineapple Healthcare. Better together.
Hey, everybody. I'm Rick Todd.
And I'm Jeremy Williams, and you're listening to Wine.
Why Not? A queer podcast.
Episode 80.
We haven't done that in a while.
Oh, no, we haven't. Caught me off guard with it. Yeah. Only a few more away to 100. 20 episodes.
And one more. We're Biden's age.
Is he 81?
Isn't he 81?
I don't know. Sounds about right.
Does that mean we have to pass this off to younger staff members?
I feel like once you reach that age, you just stop counting. Yeah. 80 episodes. That's crazy. Who'd have thunk it? Way back on the first day that we did this, that 80 weeks later, we'd still be here.
I did. It's actually probably been like 81, hasn't it? Did we skip a week? We did,
but
skip
I don't think
we
changed the number of it. Oh, skip the week, you mean? Yeah. There's one lost episode in there that never made it to air.
Probably our funniest,
best episode ever. Not only of our podcast, of any podcast ever.
In the greatest podcast ever. In the more people have listened to this podcast than have listened to all podcasts combined in the history of the world.
It was amazing, and it is in some circles has been called the Zack Snyder of podcast. # release the Wine Why Not cut. It was amazing. It was a fantastic episode. I'm so sad no one will ever hear it.
Am I supposed to know what that means?
No.
Okay.
You're too Biden to know what that means.
Zack Snyder?
Release the Snyder cut, the whole thing that went on with the Justice League.
Oh, gotcha.
Yeah.
Gotcha. Do you know what my favorite character from the Justice League is?
I'm going to say Superman.
Spider-Man.
You have a spider tattooed on you?
I do. I actually grew up loving Superman. And then I loved the Superman movies. Mm-hmm. But I don't anymore. I like the Christopher Reeves movies. I mean, it's fine.
Or just after Christopher Reeves died, you couldn't bring yourself to watch another Superman.
We've talked about this. Not my Superman. #cable. #not my Superman. No, it's just we've talked about this before, but the DC universe movies, they're just dark, like not like sad. It's just the
it was a darker tone. That was the Snyderverse
it's like there's got a filter over them that's like don't allow too much light to come in.
Yeah,
much like the last couple of episodes of Game of Thrones where you could hear things happening on your TV but you couldn't see anything.
I hear there were some dragon battles.
That happened in House of Dragon as well recently.
Yeah, there was one episode that was pretty dark, and a lot of complaints came out in that episode. I haven't seen any recently in this season, but
I remember when I was a younger lad and I was working at Watermark, a guy called up and he complained that the print of Watermark's newspaper was too small and he couldn't read it. And I laughed. Not laughed. I mean, that would be rude, right? I was just kind of like, well, it's just the size of the print. It's what it's going to be. Yeah, I mean, I didn't say this to him. Of course, I was much nicer, but I was just kind of like, what do you expect us to do about it?
Did you offer to send him a pair of readers?
We're going to add like 18 pages to the paper just to so I was like, okay, well, I'll let them know, kind of a thing. And now I'm the guy that like looks at products that we put out and I'm like, oh, the color contrast isn't enough on this. Nobody's gonna be able to read that.
Yeah,
it's just me.
Yeah.
So yeah, same thing with watching things like the season finale of House of Dragons where that big thing happened.
Yeah,
like you couldn't really see anything. Good thing they had like bleach blonde hair, or at least one of them.
Of the end of season 1, you mean?
Yeah.
I don't remember any of it being too. I mean, when they're flying in the storm, I don't want spoiler alerts if you haven't started it yet. Did you check the contrast on your TV? That was
Look,
Twitter was throwing that out there a lot
Look,
when the
sir,
dark episodes
you're
of Game
in
of
no
Thrones was
position
coming
to
out.
talk about anyone's contrasts on their TVs.
That's what I'm saying. I watched it on my TV and I saw it fine. So I don't know if it was maybe just a vision
Maybe
thing.
I should get a blue
Were
tent.
were you too far away from your TV?
I don't know. You know, I shouldn't say this either, but Friday was just like a day where I just couldn't get it together.
Yeah.
So I watched an episode or two at my desk in the St. Pete office of the House of Dragons. I like to say it's work because in about maybe next week or the week after, we'll talk about the 2 seasons of House of Dragons because I'm almost caught up.
Yeah.
Although I hope there's something queer about season 2. I'm not through it.
There's one queer moment that'll stick out. You'll be like, yeah, that's the queer moment.
Will it stick out like moments in the Olympics?
Nope. Complete opposite, actually.
Some lady love.
Some lady love.
All right.
So yeah, I mean, there's the queer aspects there. But yeah.
Can we talk about the Olympics for a hot second? Are you
Sure.
watching them?
Only on TikTok and only in 30-second increments.
There just seems to be a lot like the Battle of the Bulge.
Yeah.
Like it's not an Olympic sport, but it's getting a lot of airtime.
Yeah. You mean their wieners?
I'm definitely talking about their bulges. Yeah. The French swimmer. I mean, here's the thing. Like, I wonder if somebody should ask them how they feel about it. Like, should we not harp on it?
I was thinking this earlier because I have been sent the pole vaulter knocking the pole down with his pole several times. And I'm like, this guy has busted his ass to get to the Olympics. And this is the clip that is being shared around the world.
And now he's busted his balls.
My favorite, somebody commented on one of the videos and it said, that didn't matter because his knees hit the pole anyway. And somebody replied and said, he had knees?
Like it's just complete objectification of people who have trained their whole lives for this moment. And they should be celebrated for that athletic prowess.
Yeah.
But how do you not notice the French guy just standing there with his Superman pose, and it sticks out as far as his butt.
Some of these guys, if they had watched RuPaul's Drag Race, they know about the tucking. He may have won gold if he knew how to tuck.
If they would allow drag queens to just teach and groom at will. I'm just kidding.
God, in the perfect world. How much better would school have been, though, if all your teachers were forced to be drag queens?
I would have, yeah. I mean, I couldn't make any more A's than I already made, but I would definitely have enjoyed it more.
I made straight A's. But yeah, so I've been watching. Olympics are going pretty good.
Did.
I do. I don't know if this happens every year, and I'm just was oblivious to this, but it's really prevalent this year of other countries putting down the U.S. and talking about like medal counts. So apparently, if you go to Peacock or you watch them on NBC, when they give the medal counts, they do total medals. So they list gold, silver, and bronze, and then they rank the countries based on the total amount of medals. Obviously, the U.S. is number one in that because they have more medals than anybody.
And we have more athletes, too. I've seen way more athletes.
Yeah. But apparently other countries list them based on gold medals. So, and this is mostly coming for some reason from Australia. I don't know what Australia's beef is with us, but we're
like swim rivals, and I think that's where it comes from.
But but this was total for everything, and they're like just going off about how the U.S. is making it look like they're so much more successful. Nobody cares about the silver and the bronze. It's about gold medals. Well, I do want to report today that this morning I looked, and we are tied for number one with gold medals, too. So there was a collective, oh, no, coming from Australia.
What time did you look?
Suck it, koalas.
I think that China pulled 2 ahead the last time I looked. But
I looked first thing this morning.
Oh, yeah. So yeah, they've had a couple. But by now, it could be tied up. Look and see what the medal count is.
Yeah, let's look at the medal count.
You know what? Australia needs to just focus on the animals that, like the spiders that are the size of like a kindergarten classroom full of children.
Yeah,
and worry about those, and then worry about our gold medals.
Or worry about why there's a chlamydia outbreak with the koalas. Maybe look into that.
Have they
Australia.
been to the villages? Is that the problem?
Oh,
You know-
we are still tied with China.
Okay, well, something was a lie.
USA.
I just read something online and took it for fact.
Was it Australian news?
It was a Hemsworth.
Fake news, mate.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's going good.
I'm watching the Olympics. I'm totally into it.
Are you?
Yeah, like things I could care less about. Like as much as I hate the beach, I was watching beach volleyball like it was my sister playing and I was rooting. I just do that.
Yeah.
That's how I am.
Is it the sport though that you're watching, or the exposed nipples?
I mean, they weren't exposed to nipples.
The men don't play with their shirts off? I've
It
seen
wasn't
clips where they had the
It
shirts.
wasn't the men.
Oh, you watch women's beach volleyball?
I wouldn't say it like that. We may have a few women who listen.
That's fine, but you know.
I watch all the sports. You know what's interesting is that I find that I'm more, like when it comes to like soccer, like I would go to like the men's soccer match, but when it comes to like I didn't watch the men's gymnastics at all. This time I just watched I watched the women's gymnastics. I don't know.
You want to talk about bulges?
Yeah, there's a lot of that. Like I said, it's the Olympics of the bulge. Thank you, French people, for
You didn't see
highlighting
Steve
that.
on the horse thing?
With the guy with like Bigfoot and headlock.
What?
Did you see what he won? He went like this. It was like
They weren't that bushy.
they were. You know what? In a sport where everyone else has shaved their armpits, it was a surprise. It looked like that logo behind you there, that watermark one.
No, not bad. You did good, Steve.
I did watch. I watched the video of that. I believe I didn't watch it live. And then he won. Yeah, because he won
Yeah.
I didn't watch him win the bronze. I just watched the whole team win overall because of his horsey.
Yeah, I think so. I don't know.
And I'm behind on
I saw a
watching.
TikTok.
My favorite thing about the Olympics is Kevin Hart and Keenan Thompson doing their commentary. And I've only watched the first 3. There should be another couple. But the third one was hilarious. So
Yeah.
good on them.
Nice.
Did you do anything this weekend? Anything fun?
Not super fun. I have family coming in this week. My mom, my sister, and my niece are all coming in. So I did a nice deep cleaning of the house, which I don't know if anybody else is this way, but deep cleaning the house means rearranging the furniture. So when I go to clean up under everything, I'm just like, I'll use this as an opportunity to put my furniture in different places in the house. So I rearranged the living room and the Lego room a little bit.
Now you've done this several times.
Oh, I do it every couple of months.
I
Yeah.
was like, because you haven't lived there that long.
No.
I might do it like every 3 years to feel like I moved.
Oh, no. I have to do it every couple of months. And I think my brother obviously is used to it because my mother did this the entire time we were growing up. So he comes home, he's like, oh, looks nice, and then just goes about his day. Chris, I don't think, is used to it. So when he comes in, I usually get a deep sigh. He's like, why did you move it around again? And I was like, because you refuse to clean it. So if you want to clean it, by all means, leave the furniture where it's at. But that's how I clean.
He may. I mean, when I was in my 20s and I drank a lot, I would not have liked it if somebody moved the furniture around on me. I would have bumped into shit all the time and been pissed.
I mean, we have lights in the house.
Yeah, but like when I would come home at 3 a.m, I wouldn't want to turn on the lights on.
We're like
and
the
wake
Motel
anybody
6.
up.
I leave a light on for him.
Oh, that's nice.
Yeah. We have a particular lamp in the living room that when everybody goes to bed, if everybody's not in, I leave that one on because I know they're going to be stumbling into the house.
Does it have a red light on it?
It does not. It has a dimmer switch, but no light. But in the process of getting everything up and cleaned up, I currently don't have a TV in my room. So my brother and his girlfriend had procured a TV for us from one of her friends that they had bought a new TV. And they're like, hey, they're going to get rid of their TV. Do you want it? And I was like, yeah, go ahead and bring it here. And the TV they were getting rid of, it's 46 inches, beautiful TV, but it is a plasma TV and weighs like 125 pounds. and they did not have the stand anymore for it. So I have the rack if I want to hang it on the wall, but I'm renting and I don't feel like drilling giant holes and hanging the TV. So we've gone through like 3 or 4 stands, ordering stands, having them stand. They don't work. They're too weirdly shaped. So I finally last week ordered a stand from Panasonic, who the TV is from. And they said, hey, this is the stand that is designed for that TV. And it came in, and the damn thing doesn't fit. So I'm thinking there's some sort of warpness or something. But while I was waiting for the stand, I had laid a yoga mat on my dresser and kind of leaned the TV on it so that I could kind of find out where I wanted it. So I turned the TV on, and I'm watching it, and the room is just getting hotter and hotter and hotter. Plasma TVs put off so much heat that just watching it for 20 minutes, I felt like someone had cranked the heat up in my room. And I was like, nope, we're done. This TV is going in the garage. I'm sure there's some sort of process you have to go through to get rid of it because of the plasma in it. These people knew what they were doing when they dumped this TV off on us.
There's a reason they got rid of it.
They got rid of their headache on us. So I don't know what I'm going to do with this
when they
TV.
were watching TV.
But I also Googled it, and a plasma TV uses 10 times the electricity than an LCD TV does.
Oh, wow.
So I'm like, my electric bill's going up. It's hot in this house. It's going to fall and blow up. No good can come from this TV.
When you said that they had procured a TV for you, in my mind thought you were just trying to come up with an elegant way of saying they stole a TV from their friend.
Oh, no. I don't hang out with criminals.
I was hoping that was what was coming. Just so you know, they do make TV stands that don't screw into the wall. So, like mounts. People use them at convention halls and stuff like that. We're probably going to get some here eventually. If we get grant money. It would take grant money.
Yeah.
But to put like schedules up of things, events and stuff going on. But you screw it into a pole that has a base. And then you
I've
don't
seen
have
TV stands like that. The problem with this TV is, I don't know, maybe because it's so heavy, the screw points are so far apart that every TV stand I've looked up, the frame of it doesn't fit the expansion of the 4 screws. So it's just, I don't know who designed this TV. Well, I do. It's Panasonic.
I don't mean like a stand for the TV. It's like a mount that sits on the floor, doesn't screw into the wall. It's just a wall mount that sits on the floor.
What do you mean it sits on the floor?
Like if you put a TV and like there would be like a mount here, instead of going on the wall, it goes on a pole. It screws into the pole.
Yeah, and it sits on the floor.
Yeah.
I've seen stuff like that, but attached to TV stands. You know what I mean?
Yeah, this would not be attached to a TV stand. I'll show it to you.
Okay. I get what you're saying. I'm just saying I've
show
seen
it to
that
you.
concept, but on TV stands is all I'm saying. I'm not saying that's what you're describing.
I'm saying it's not. I don't know. Yeah. Anyway, I'm going to look it up when you tell me about the rest of your week. Or were you done?
And I'm done. That's it. Let's see. Got that. I met with our new fall interns. I did that this past week. So we've got 2 fall interns.
Anyone
coming
I know?
Yeah, you met both of them. You were sitting there when we interviewed them all. So met with them and showed them around. And I'm excited that they're going to be coming on board. One of them writes and speaks Spanish, which I'm super excited about. And they both are very interested in writing about politics. And I think there'll be plenty of that this semester. So,
well, that's exciting.
Yeah.
What gives you that opinion? Of course, I don't have internet access now, so I'm gonna.
No.
I'm going to.
Oh, no.
I'm gonna connect to Wi-Fi then. So anyway,
throw your shrimp on a Barbie.
I had a pretty low key.
How was your week?
It was pretty low key. I had a friend's birthday dinner.
They
that
don't
we
have
went to.
shrimp. They eat shrimp.
Just so that
you need to watch Crocodile Dundee.
For our listeners who heard Jeremy having a conversation with himself, non-Mike Caitlin was talking.
Oh, that's right. Caitlin doesn't have a microphone. Caitlin was saying they don't say shrimp in Australia. They say prawn. And I told her, you need to watch Crocodile Dundee.
Yeah.
Yeah. Throw a shrimp on the Barbie, eh?
I mean, that's how it goes, right?
That's
Shrimp on the
saying.
Barbie. Yeah. I've never heard of a prawn on the Barbie.
I have. I get that you are an expert in Australian culture, but I'm just saying, shrimp on a Barbie is the saying.
Also,
From the most greatest Australian movie ever made.
Also, like, this probably isn't very entertaining for anyone listening because nobody can hear Caitlin, who's talking to all of us.
Yeah.
So I'm just saying.
Right. No, I was expressing to her and our listeners about Crocodile Dundee.
I understand.
How was your week?
Oh, my week. Wow, my week was pretty low key. I went to a friend's birthday party in St. Pete. I'm going to shout out to Mangosteens, which is Asian food. We went there for the first time. St. Pete's does this thing, kind of like New York restaurants are kind of like. You're walking down the street and you see a storefront. And you're like, oh, this looks tiny. But then you go inside and it's huge and gorgeous. So shout out to them. It was really nice.
Oh, nice.
It was fun. We kind of did a thing like you did. You rearranged your house a little bit.
Yeah.
For whatever reason. I've been talking about this for a while, like putting a pantry in our kitchen because we don't have a lot of storage. And we really don't. We have like one little cabinet where we have a little bit of food in. And so we found this deal at Lowe's where they had this pantry, but it was like legit real cabinetry, like not like particle board crap that you put together.
Yeah.
No offense to... I mean, most of my furniture is IKEA, so it does, but this was like really interesting and like hardwood, and it was super cheap. So we just bought a couple of them, and then we took it home. And when we put it together, we were like, let's rearrange everything. So we took all the cabinets off of one wall and then created this.
You took your kitchen cabinets off the wall?
Just the side where the refrigerator was, so that we could put in a pantry and then have the thing above the refrigerator and have another pantry on the other side. So now it looks like another wall of cabinetry that was put in there. It's pretty awesome. I'm excited about it. But now so we did that. And we work bizarrely, we work well together and things like that, because I'm super anal about like making things like, oh, if you're going to do it, you have to do it right. You can't just cut corners. You got to do every little thing. But then when you take anything apart in a house that's really old, like you're going to find crap that's going to make your job a lot harder than you thought it was going to be. So getting back to getting that all put together was kind of fun and crazy and stupid. But once it was all there, we lacked the skills to organize. So we just have these big empty pantry things. And we're like, what should go there? We don't know. So, if you like to organize
Where do you put
shit,
your food?
Well, I mean, we have that one little thing. So we moved all of that and put it in there. And then we're like, okay, I guess we just go buy more food then. We ended up actually taking...
You start canning.
We took all of the cookie stuff because we have a little non-side business that we don't make cookies anymore. And we have all that cookie stuff. So we just put that in there too. So it cleared out this other room really nicely. But then we were like, well, now we don't have room for food. So we got to get some work. We got to get somebody to help us with that. But that was pretty much it. I mean, the only other thing that I did all week was go to that show last night. So we can talk about that if you would like to.
No, I don't want to.
All right, we'll move her. I'm sure that Dr. Phillips Performing Arts Center won't mind one bit.
She's listening right now. She's like, you better talk about it. We went and saw Idina Menzel, thanks to our friends at Dr. Phillips Center for getting us spare tickets.
It came in unexpectedly. We didn't think we were going to get it because we couldn't get an interview.
Yeah, we were trying to secure an interview, but she was too busy to talk.
She was busy, and that's okay.
Too busy talking to her audience. She did a lot more audience banter than most concerts I've been to.
I do want to say, like, sometimes when we go see a show, and I'll be like, I'll make a crack or two around our seats. And we were like in row X for this, but it was perfect. It worked out really well. I mean, the seats were great. It's great. It's fun to go to a show like this because people are like mega fans.
Yeah.
And that's fun to see because everybody's just having a good time and they're enjoying the show. And there's really nothing that the person's going to say that's going to make anybody mad. So, or they're just going to disagree with something, or they're going to be like, oh, this isn't going to be good. You go there knowing it's going to be good. And that's why you go. So it was nice to be in that kind of environment.
Yeah. This was the third time I've seen her. And they were all in very different kind of environments. The last time I saw her was last year, or the second time I saw her was last year when we saw her at St. Pete Pride. And that was outdoors at a Pride event, and it was more of like dance mixes and stuff like that. And this time it was obviously sitting in the Dr. Phillips Center. The first time I saw her was back in 2010. Me and my sister had taken a trip to Washington, D.C., And she was performing at the Kennedy Center there, and I was like, "Oh, I'm gonna get tickets for us. We'll go see her." So me and my sister went and saw her, and she was performing with Marvin Hemish, the music guy, Marvin Hemlish. Is that him? The one who worked with Barbra Streisand and all that. They did. It was mostly like just him and her on the stage, and that was really, really good. This one, the audience, there wasn't a lot of audience back and forth. This one had a lot of audience participation, which was a little odd to me. Because it was a lot of, they felt like they had been drinking and they're shouting at her, and it was a little much.
They weren't drinking anything but the Kool-Aid. I don't think. But, like, it's a typical thing. You go to a concert and just somebody randomly screams, "I love you," and then they talk back to them. I'm always like, don't talk back. It only encourages them.
Yeah. Perfect example.
Yeah. And, but I had seen her before. And at the Ruth Eckerd Hall, maybe somewhere in the Tampa Bay area. And when she sang "Let It Go," she brought any child in there. She had all the children come up to the stage, and they all sat around her, and they sang it, and she passed the microphone around to these kids that would sing "Let It Go." And so when she started singing "Let It Go" this time and didn't do that, I was like, yay! But then she decided when she was singing "Take Me or Leave Me," which is the name of the tour, right? When she was singing that from Rent, she did invite people to come up. Adults came up to sing, and that's always interesting.
Yeah. Back to was it? Yeah, "Let It Go." She did sing the last chorus like 12 times to have the audience sing with her, and I'm like, let it go, girl. It's time to end it. Stop going back to it.
Yeah, I think that there's some songs that she sings so much. I can't imagine what her life must be like. Every time she sings, it's like, sing that song. I mean, I think that's like my Betty Buckley was just at one point like, don't make me fucking sing "Memory" again. I'm assuming. I don't know. I wasn't there. I'm not there with her all the time. So when she did it, but when she hit that note at the end of "Let It Go," I was like, that didn't sound right. So she went back and like tried it again and again and again. And then she said, it's hard. And then she yelled at the audience and said, well, you do it. And then the audience did it and they hit it. And she was like, fuck you. And she flipped everybody off. Hilarious.
Yeah.
She was really funny. I mean, even the lead into "Let It Go," she played the audio of John Travolta introducing her as Adele Dazeem at the Oscars, and it was set up really cute because she's standing there, it's just her and the microphone, and she's like, okay, Adele, okay, Idina. She's like, 8 bars, just 8 bars, and the whole world's gonna know your name. And then it plays the clip of him mispronouncing it, which is hilarious. And it's about her. One thing I appreciate about it too is she talks a lot about her anxiety and the issues that she has getting up and performing. Or you think like, oh, these celebrities are so good, they just must love all of this. And then when you're put on the spot and they're like, get up there and talk and give a speech, she like gets really nervous. And I appreciate that because I do that.
Yeah,
I'm not really famous, but I still do.
Yeah. No, I thoroughly enjoyed her and her performance.
Yeah, the costumes were amazing. The set was amazing.
Yeah, I like the whole aspect of the show because she opens with like this huge ball gown. And just through the course of the show, she's just stripping layers away. And then by the end, she's just in like this nude leotard and ripped all her hair extensions off, pulled her eyelashes off. Singing on top of a desk.
She's sitting on top of that desk pulling them extensions out. And I was thinking, girl has lost it. She cracked. I think because Jen and our friend Barb went, and they were sitting in a different section. Jen said when she started doing that, she looked at Barb and said, we broke her. But I think that was the point of it. It's sort of like,
I think it was
take
the
me or
stripping
leave
it
me,
down.
and it's like this, like, everything's so lovely at the beginning, and it's sort of like, but when you strip it all down, this is who I am, and you either take me or leave me, and that's it. I thought it was great concept, great show. She's such a powerful singer. That it was really good. She is playing through August 18th at various locations up and down the East Coast, like Alabama, Chicago. She hits a couple of like Pennsylvania and stuff like that.
And then she's going back to New York.
Yeah.
going to Broadway, and she apparently, I didn't even know that she was going to perform songs from it, but she's going back to Broadway this fall with the show Redwood, which is about a woman who her life fell apart, so she went to Northern California and learned to climb redwood trees.
Yeah.
And so she sang a couple of songs from that, and it sounds like it's going to be a pretty good show. So if you're in New York or want to fly us out to New York to preview that so we could talk about it on the podcast.
This is how the conversation went afterwards. Barb says, that looks like a really interesting show. And I said, the show about the tree hugger? She's like, oh, yeah, that is. Or no, she said, I wonder what that show is going to be about. And I said, you mean the show about the tree hugger? And she's like, oh, yeah, I guess that's what it's about. I was like, yeah.
Yeah.
But it sounded great.
Yeah. It's based on a true story, and the woman sounds very interesting, at least for the way that Idina Menzel said it, talked about her.
I'm not
Sounds
really
fascinating.
familiar with the show If Then, but she sang a song called Learn to Live Without from If Then, and that was my favorite thing that she did.
Yeah.
Now, I will say this. I won't talk about the ensuing argument that I had with the usher because it doesn't make me look good.
Okay, let me tell you what I saw and heard, and then you can fill in the gaps.
Okay.
So, obviously, with concerts like this, they finish up, and then everybody applauds, and they're like, we want more, Idina. And she comes out, and she's like encore. So she sings something from Rent, and No Day But Today. Or is the one
she
of the
said
lines
no
that
day but
we-
today.
yeah.
And when she was done with that, we thought this is it.
Yeah.
We looked at each other. We gave each other the head nod.
So I walk out. Rick is behind me. As I get through the double doors, she starts to sing Defying Gravity.
You hear the music for Defying
now,
Gravity.
I am already in motion. So I'm like, nah, I'm not turning around going back. How ridiculous will I look? And I look behind me, and Rick's gone. And
I was perplexed.
he is on the other side of the double doors. I can't see him because I'm on the stairs, but I do hear the usher going, if you're going to stay in, go back to your seat. You can't just stand there. Go back to your seat. And I was like, I don't think I need to be here for this. And I walked out, and they were playing it because I don't know if you knew this. I rarely go to the bathroom during a show.
They play it outside.
They play
Yeah.
it outside on the screen. So as I'm walking through the empty lobby, because everyone's in there listening to the encore, I can hear her belting it. And every usher I would pass or worker, they'd be like, oh, are you leaving? And I was like, yeah. I'm like, okay, have a good night. Like, how dare you leave when she's still on that stage?
Yeah.
She's here for you, sir. So what happened?
Okay, so we're walking through the door, and I hear the beginning of the song for Defying Gravity, which I love, and I just stop, and I turn around, and I look at the stage, and I try to get Jeremy's attention because I'm like, I gotta stay, right? And I'm like, I gotta stay. So I'm processing all this, where let's just say the usher, who Joe Biden might refer to as old timer, looks at me and says, you can't stand in the doorway. You need to go back to your seat. And I was like, okay. And I was just kind of trying to see it just to try to tell you I was going to do that. But I was like, okay, well, this guy's yelling at me to go back to my seat. I need to go back to my seat. So I start, and it's pitch black. So I start making my way down the aisle slowly to get back to the seat. We're only like 3 rows down.
Yeah.
And he goes, you can't stand in the aisle either. You need to go back to your seat. Well, I didn't appreciate that
It
very
doesn't
much.
sound like you would.
So I turned around, and I'm glad you didn't hear this, because, I mean, it's like I could have, there are 12-step programs that I'm involved in, and they teach you to not react this way. But I haven't been in a couple of weeks, and so I did. I turned around, and I said, I need the aisle to get to my seat. I'm not standing here. And turned around and went back. And it was just really, intense. And I think, the people around me were like, calm down. And I was like, yeah, that was probably a little too much. What are you going to do?
But
Sorry.
you got back to your seat.
Sorry, sir.
And you got to hear
I
her
mean,
sing
what did you
Defying
think? What's
Gravity.
going on? That I was just going to, have a party there? Come on. No, I was going back to my seat. Anyway. It was aggravating for me.
Was she done after Defying Gravity?
She was.
Oh, okay.
She was. But I do want to point out. See, I didn't want to tell that story, so I wasn't going to bring it up. But the only reason I wanted to talk about staying in there to listen to Defying Gravity is she just proved that she is the only person who can sing that song. the way that it was, done. She originated it, but 25 years later, or however old she was when she did it, I don't know, but she's 53 years old and she still sang it and hit that end. Like, it was amazing. It was worth waiting there for and getting yelled at and being obnoxious back. It was all worth it.
I don't have a list of all the actresses who have played Elphaba, but if you're listening, I'm sure you all do amazing. And there are some fantastic performers who have played that role.
There are. And there's one, I forget her name. She came to sing at the Abbey in Orlando, and it was a fundraiser for something, and the cast, like old Broadway cast members came.
Yes.
She was good. She was incredible. And maybe they can't. I guess maybe what I'm mostly referring to is how they lowered the notes at the end of Defying Gravity for the movie version.
Oh, did they?
Because it's not the same notes.
Oh, I haven't heard that
This
version
sounds like
yet.
that to me. Now, it's good, and they're talented, but then there's,
But then there's Maud.
and there's, yeah. Yeah, so what? Who cares?
But yeah, it was a great concert. If you ever get a chance to see her, definitely do it. She puts on one hell of a show.
She sure do.
And if you're a singer, make sure you go, because apparently she'll let you get up there and sing some songs with her. So
I mean, listen, if you are a singer and you can sing really well, do the audience a favor and go.
yeah.
And volunteer.
Oh, shout out also to the Orlando Gay
Yeah.
Chorus, because a couple of their members got up there and sang.
That was fun.
And their Joe before them, I think, what's his name, Joe?
I think his name is Joe.
Joe?
Joe.
He was there?
You know what? I gotta say this. Like, it's about the moments, right?
Yeah.
And creating the moments. I was talking about this on the way home, and my friend Barb, who I see maybe once every 2 years, called me a crusty, like a crusty old curmudgeon. Just because, like, Jen doesn't like when audience participate. I don't like audience participation because I don't want to do it.
Yeah.
Jen doesn't like it because she doesn't want to watch other people do it, in the sense of, like, they're not, like, it gets uncomfortable. Like how you don't like it if a conversation is over but people don't know how to end it, and you're just like, hang up the phone. So it's in that sense. So there's a lot of, like, uncoordinated weirdness when somebody who is a mega fan of a star is talking to them, like with the young lady dressed as Elphaba.
Yes.
I'm assuming young lady. I couldn't see her.
Mickey. Yes.
Artist Mickey.
Mickey's
So,
Art 1996 on Instagram if you want to give her a follow.
oh, yeah, it was, wasn't it? Was it 96 or 98?
It was 1996.
Oh, okay.
Mickey's Art 1996.
Good for shout out for that, and good
Yeah.
for you. She's just yelled out, "I have a present for you," and then she's like, "Come
Also,
on up here."
I did
and-
learn that if you want to get a selfie and to talk to them in the middle of the show, all you have to do is yell to a celebrity, "I brought you a present." And she'll be like, "Bring it on to me."
I do appreciate that with her, the way that she handles her fans.
Yeah.
Like, it's not annoyance. It's complete appreciation. And she even started naming some of them that were in the audience because they came and they have photos. And I think that's really a cool thing for people to do. Even if she goes back into her dressing room and is like, "Keep that psycho away from me." Like, but it's just this
and she
pure
does like a
appreciation.
fun banter with them. It's not. It's even if it's annoyance, it's kind of she knows how to play to that crowd.
Yeah. And so what I was going to say about Joe, it's like Joe wasn't, maybe he was nervous, but he wasn't like, it wasn't a stellar belting voice.
I don't think
coming
Joe
from,
was a singer.
I don't think he was. He was just.
I don't know Joe.
Yeah. It
But
was.
I don't think he's a singer.
Yeah. We didn't do it, Joe. So, but she created this moment for him, and that was really fun to watch. And so that's cool. So there were a lot of moments like that. But the girl that they brought down from the balcony, she could sing, and that was really fun.
Yeah. Yeah. Just a good
But then
show.
what if you're sitting in the front row and she brings everybody that sang with her? She's come on down here, get in the center of the stage, and it's not that much room.
No, there's not a lot of space
I
between the
mean,
stage and that first row, and they're just all
good
right
thing
there.
it was nobody from the Olympics came to sing, because there would have been room for them,
You poke someone's eye out.
right? It's like all of a sudden it's fencing. Anyway,
Nothing like a good sword fight. Yeah, so if you get a chance, do yourself a favor, check it out. And big thanks to the Dr. Phillips Center.
Yeah,
for hooking
huge
us up.
thanks. Huge thanks. It's such a great theater. You know what's cool about it, too? At the same time that she was performing, Rent was being performed at the Pew Theater right next door. That's pretty cool.
Fantastic. So you want to talk about what we watched?
Well, we probably should.
I guess.
That's what we're here for.
Is it?
I don't know.
I
don't know this episode.
Yeah, so watch another week of Big Brother.
Let's do it. Let's do the highs and lows, the happiness and the sadness of Big Brother.
I'll just say right off the bat, obviously we'll keep watching it. We'll finish the season out, but I am not yet seeing the draw of why people come back to this show week after week.
It takes, it takes a while to, it's usually like week 6 where things get interesting. Because then you've got definite, you're starting to see it. You're starting to see the Pentagon versus the other side of the house kind of a thing. And once that is solidified and there's a real battle of actual competition, then that's when it gets good. But you got to weed out the weak, the weak players.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't mean...
Weed out the weak.
Sadly, I think that involves the reason we watch the show. Chemo has shown zero ability to thrive in this game, except for sometimes people play a social game that carries them through.
Yeah.
And some people I'm sure we'll talk about Angela, but her shtick seems to be make everyone hate me so much that I'm always going to be on the block, but I'm always going to stay because they're always going to hate me more than someone else. And so they're going to say, oh, well, they're going to put Angela up next time. So, let's just keep her because she'll just keep being the person everybody wants to get out. And then what ends up happening is she ends up getting through to the end. But when you've got these people like the Lisas and the Chemos and that kind of stuff, once you get through that and an actual competition is going on, then it gets interesting.
Yeah. I will say, because there was a scene here where a couple of people were talking and Angela's listening at the door. I was jotting down, noting. I was like, "Oh, who's in the room?" And I jotted down who was in the room, and then I saw one person. I was like, "That person doesn't look familiar. Who is that?" And it was Rubina, and I was like, "She has been non-existent since the first episode, and that can't be good for. Is that good gameplay?"
It's edited that way.
Yeah.
So you don't see her, but she's in that house and she's part of it, right? So
But if she's not edited into the show, doesn't that mean she's not doing anything worth watching?
But it's not bad gameplay. So the previous 2 weeks, Cedric's thrown the head of household competition. You want to lay low. Like I said, you want to lay low until they get rid of the weak players, and then you start to build a strategy, and then you can move forward. So there are times the first 2 weeks Cam wasn't really mentioned either.
Yeah,
and you probably just notice him because he's handsome and buff.
Well, I will say, Rubina, if that is your gameplay, well on you. I totally forgot you were even in that house. Now, I will say, when I was in the military, that is the strategy that I and several other people took in basic training. Let the TI see you by week 3 or 4 and be like, "Who the fuck are you?" Then you've played the game right. So yeah, I get that as a game strategy.
Yeah. But I think it's just purely editing. I mean, she will. You notice they played her one-on-one with the head of household this time, where the head of household, which we'll get into in a minute, was would you go up as a pawn? And she was like, it's not going to be me. Yeah. And the way she said it, I was like, you're going to get a lot of airtime because she's going to ruffle a lot of feathers by making demands of people who have the power above her and that kind of stuff. Yeah. So the first note that I have about it, so last Wednesday, they were talking about Quinn and all of his alliances, right? And he's in an alliance called the Andersons. What is that? What is that a play on?
I have no idea.
I was like, is that a cool name? The Andersons? Is there something TikTok related that I'm not familiar with? Or are they like Mr. Anderson and they're the Andersons?
There's only 2 Andersons that come to mind is Mr. Anderson from The Matrix, or Arn Anderson, who is the 4 Horsemen in NWA wrestling.
Well, I bet.
Are there 4 people in there? But the
I don't
4
remember.
horsemen aren't just Arn Anderson. It's other people. It's weird that they would select that name.
Right. And
So
I'm
I'm not
thinking,
sure what Anderson they're talking
maybe
about.
Chemo named it because he likes Anderson Cooper.
Oh, maybe they're the Andersons because they got the coops.
I don't know what all that is, but okay. So the game's going on, and then there's a group of people outside talking. Now this is like misunderstandings and I don't like these kind of arguments. Like I think you and I were talking about this before. If people want to fight about the way they're playing the game, that gets entertaining to me, and I really like that. But when people turn into children and are like just outright nasty bullies and make fun of people's physical appearances and stuff, I don't appreciate that. So there's a group of people outside chatting. I didn't write down who they were, but it's T-Core, Cam, Chelsea, Cedric, at least the 4 of them.
Yes, I think it was just the 4 of them.
Okay, and they're out like on the hammock and they're having a conversation, and Angela looks out there and sees them talking, and she says, I might want to work with them because I like that group of people. And then so she goes to Quinn, who's supposed to be her
confidant,
her number 2, right?
Yeah.
They're the final 2, is as they call them. They go to the end of the final 2. And she says, but this is kind of her fault too, because all she says is, just go out, look out the window. That's the group. That's all she says. That's the group. So Quinn thinks she's saying that's the group to be worried about and that she's going to go after them, when she really was, that's the group I want us to work with. So Quinn goes and tells T-Core, who he's really close to, watch out, Angela's coming for you.
Yeah.
So then T-Core is like, tells Chelsea.
Hold on, I wrote down the chain here. Angela looks. And where did my notes go? Yeah, so T-Core is talking to the Core 3. They call themselves the Core 3 in the Pentagon.
Yes.
So she's talking to the Core 3 and makes reference to possibly another cookout, which I have been told is a reference to a previous season.
Yes. So, because this comes up.
Yeah.
Again. So there was the cookout, and that's a reference to the last season where all of the people of color, I think the people in the cookout were all black. There was another person of color there, but the cookout was all the black contestants. And they said, we want a black person to win because a black person's number 1, and we're going to make this happen. And so they worked to make that happen. Then the next season, there was a moment where a white guy said to another group of people, we need to be concerned about another cookout, and we might want to start targeting the people of color, to which the house was like, what in racism are you talking about? Like, I don't want, and they were like, I want nothing to do with this. I don't know what you just said. And he had to go, I mean, it ruined everything for him.
Yeah.
Like, and then, so when this happened, it'll come up in a second. But
Yeah, so Quinn went to T-Core to say, hey, Angela said this. And T-Core went to Cedric and said, hey, I heard from Quinn that Angela said this. So Cedric went to Chelsea and said, hey, I just heard from T-Core, who heard from Quinn, that heard that Angela was saying we need to take these guys out.
It reminds me of that, like, song. Is it REO Speedwagon? Heard it from a friend who heard it from a friend who heard it from another you've been messing around. Remind me of that.
So a nice little game of telephone. And so Chelsea, instead of finding the next person to tell, she goes, I'm just going to Angela and find out what the hell
She's
happened.
like, I don't like this. We're getting it all out.
So she goes to her and she confronts her. Angela is like, oh, I know it was Quinn who told you because I only talked to Quinn about this. And she's like, actually, I heard it from this person. And then we find out there's a long chain. So then Angela goes to Quinn and...
Can I talk to you in private?
Yeah. Everything, and this might be my fault because I watch too many Karen videos on TikTok, but every time Angela does her little whispery, I want to speak to your manager voice, I want to flip my TV over.
I do. I think that that's why I think there's a design here that is beyond our control, and that is all of the producers and editors of this that are wanting you to hate watch her
Yeah.
like mad crazy.
Now, one thing, when she says, Quinn, can I talk to you? As Quinn's going in the room, she looks at Lisa and says, wipe that look off your face, Lisa.
Okay. Yeah.
What the hell did Lisa do?
Where did it wipe that smirk off your face?
Yeah.
And Lisa's like, what did I do? And then,
It's just ridiculous. She's bully.
Absurd. It gets worse. So anyway, so they're in the bathroom and she's yelling she's telling Quinn that she's heartbroken over that.
You broke my heart.
Yeah. And so then T-Core walks in and it's like, well, this is about me, so I want to be involved in this conversation and what went down. And then it all comes out that it was all a misunderstanding. Right, and Quinn admits he did it on purpose. So this is he
admits to us, the
right.
audience. Yeah,
and in the diary room, he's like, "Was I trying to stir something? Sure," which is great. So if Angela wants to yell at Quinn about that, then that's fair game, according to me. But then, so in this conversation where they are all talking about that, T-Core just says, "Listen, I'm just trying to say." Everybody that was out there was black, and then you're saying that's the group to watch out for, and I'm just saying to watch out because if it starts to look like a cookout, if it comes across like a cookout reference, and then Angela was like, lost her fucking mind, like no, like because she knows you don't want to go down that pathway because if you get labeled as a racist, like the audience outside the house will put so much pressure on the show that they'll have to do something, and so she started. This is where she had a meltdown, and it was the weirdest, cryingest thing. Like she went over to Cedric.
That was my favorite part because she tells you broke my heart to Quinn, and then she's like, you too, T-Core, you hurt me. And then she goes over and she's like stammering through the house like she's been hit over the head and looking for the first black person to let them know she is not a racist. And she like takes Cedric by the face and she's like, I love you and I don't hate black people. And he's like, I know, lady.
Like, what the fuck is happening?
She was losing it.
Yeah. So, and just to keep screaming, I love you, and then he has to say it back. These people can't love each other this much.
No. Not after 16 days.
All right, so that's the drama from that. But then this is Wednesday is the veto episode, right?
Yes.
So in the veto competition, Chelsea, who is head of household, plays. Angela, Lisa, and Kenny, who are on the block, all play. They draw the names, and it's Brooklyn and Mustache.
Yes.
Joseph, for those who
don't know our
say like I hate it when people pick on people's physical appearances, and then I call this guy Mustache. So I get the hypocrisy. All right. What do you? I yelled at it. Sure. What do you want from me? I'm a terrible person. I apologize. So the thing is that they have to build a tower out of
code.
Code out of ones and zeros. So it's basically a puzzle thing. They have to build this tower, and whoever builds it the fastest wins. But I don't know where this was. Maybe was there a sign in the background that said "nerd is the word"? I loved it because they're all dressed like nerds, and they're like, because I guess it's nerdy to do coding. Good job, Big Brother. No wonder they like Angela there. They're just a bunch of bullies, all of them. But so I did write down that Mustache was wearing like these pink plaid pants with suspenders, and I kind of love those pants. So I'll take them. Where'd you get them? So Kenny wins.
Yes.
So Kenny wins, and immediately Angela starts crying.
Yeah. Yeah.
I don't know why.
I wrote down here, Kenny wins and Angela's lip starts to quiver. What is up with her? Even though she goes up and she says, I'm so happy for you, Kenny. And their little lip starts quivering her away. Anyway, obviously Kenny took himself down because he's like,
yeah,
I won.
So that happens, and then that Angela meltdown happens.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
To which I write down, why is a grown woman walking around crying and playing a victim here? It's just insane to me. But because of this blow up, so we've got Lisa, who's still going to be on the block, and everybody wants Lisa out, and Angela, who everybody now hates again, and because she's causing this huge scene. So that sparks Tucker to stand up and say to Chelsea, well, obviously Kenny's going to take himself off the block. You can put me up, and I'll win the AI thing, and you don't have to worry about it. That way you don't have to get blood on your hands. I'm volunteering because I got this. And that's when I have to say that I'm going to call him your boy. Your boy Tucker turned into a douchebag. He's just so douchey.
He is overly confident in his abilities. Yes.
Yeah. I mean, clearly.
I mean, if we're not going to name call him the bully, let's not call him a douchebag. He's just overly confident. But he does prove himself that the confidence is well placed this time.
Yeah, I mean, so Kenny pulls himself up, Tucker goes up. That's the end of the episode. But, at the end of the episode, when the people that are still there, and they tell them all, oh, tell the audience in your diary room thing that you're going to win. And they're all like, we're going to win, we're going to win. And Lisa said, my vibe is giving winner. I would like to remind everybody from the first episode when she said that she was a vibe curator. Is that what it was?
Something like that.
Yeah, I can't. I agree 100% with Chelsea, who in Thursday's episode said, can't we in some way, Big Brother gods, find a way to get rid of Angela and Lisa at the same time?
Yes.
That would be.
They're both insufferable for very different reasons.
So then Thursday, here's it. You know what?
Do you want to get to the apology? When Angela pulled T-Core aside to apologize to her. And
yeah, sure.
Her little weepy. That's all that is. She
she
another
apologized.
weepy moment.
Because what she said was, and she was right about this. I'll give her credit for this. She said that when they were having that little blow up, and when T-Core mentioned the cookout, and Angela lost her mind and said, I'm not racist. She realized that in that moment she needed to listen to what T-Core had to say, and she wasn't giving T-Core the space to say anything. And so she made it all about her, and she apologized for doing that, which was absolutely what should have happened. So then I don't know what happened at the beginning of Thursday's episode, but this is eviction night, and all I could think is Tucker is giving Jim Carrey vibes. Who's the vibe curator now?
Where we're on Thursday night, right?
Thursday night.
Okay.
Then Tucker said something that cracked me up, because he's talking about how great it was of himself to volunteer to go up there because he's going to win this AI competition, and he said, "I'm risking it for the biscuit."
Isn't that from Top Gun?
Is it?
I think so.
See, I haven't seen it. The new one, I haven't seen it.
No, I think that's from the original.
Oh, really?
Risk It for the Biscuit?
I liked it.
Oh, no, it's Talladega Nights.
Okay.
Although it might be a parody off of something. But yeah, Risk It for the Biscuit is Talladega Nights. My favorite thing in the opening of Thursday Night Show is just how oblivious Lisa is to how much Tucker cannot stand her.
Yes.
Like, she thinks they're the best of friends.
They're like chef buddies.
Yeah.
And he can't stand her.
So he's talking with her.
She's going to be so sad because they're going
when she
home.
watches it, yeah,
like they'll get to a point where people don't go home; they go to a different house, and they're sequestered in this other house because at the very last episode, everybody that's in the jury house votes on who the winner is. So the people going home now are actually going home.
How many go actual home before they start going to the jury house?
I can't remember. I think it might be it's got to be an uneven number. So there's 2 out of the 16, 2 are in the final. So that leaves you with 14. So then so I think it's 9. So if it's 9, then 5 go home, and then you get to the jury house.
Oh, gotcha.
I would think something like that. Yeah, because then got it.
So Tucker and Lisa are chatting because Tucker is convinced that Lisa has one of the power-ups. And then, I don't know, maybe I just haven't been...
That's where he's so douchey, because he's just like, you have the power up. And she's like, I really don't. And he's like, yeah, you do, and I know. And then
because I was trained by the CIA, is what he told her.
Yeah.
In between your recipes for protein
Do you know what
bars?
that reminds me of? I mean, this is such a tangent, but when I was a kid, we had this, we lived in Houston, Texas, and, I don't know if what that has to do with the story, why I emphasized Houston, Texas, but just because I guess we were Texans, we were right about everything. And then behind us, there was this house. And in the house behind us, they had like a fruit tree. And this kid was in the backyard, and he threw like this he threw something over our yard. And so my brothers and I found something we threw back into their yard. And we were playing this fun little game where we were throwing things back and forth. So the kid started throwing rotten fruit over. So then one of my brothers decided to take this chicken carcass from the baked chicken we had the night before and throw that into the kid's yard. And he stood up on this electric box and tossed the chicken carcass into the yard. And then the kid's mother lost it and started yelling. And she's like, I'm going to call the police. And my brother, standing on the electric box, said, I don't care. My old man's a bounty hunter. Like what? Like, okay, how's it gonna solve anything? So anyway, the cops did come, and my brother answered the door, and he was like, I don't know what you're talking about. Like, she's losing her mind. Like, she's throwing things, and like he hid the chicken carcass and all this, and the guy's like, okay, well, just y'all calm down. But anyway, so when he's like goes off about like, well, I know this because I was trying, it reminds me of that sort of.
So we come back to Angela, and Angela's all talking in the diary room, and she's like, if I'm thrown out, if I'm voted off, my exit is going to be dramatic. And I was like, calm down. How much more dramatic can you get, Angela? So this is when she's eavesdropping at the door. So here's where I wrote the list down. I wrote Tucker, Lisa, Joseph, and someone else who I can't point out, who ends up being Rabina. Are in one of the rooms talking, and Angela is eavesdropping at the door and listening to what they say. And obviously they're talking about Angela because Angela's psychotic. So when they're coming out, that's when Angela starts going after Lisa, and she's like bullying her and calls her a twit.
The first thing she does is Lisa comes walking past her, and Angela starts mimicking her walk.
Like she's waddling like
and
a
she's
duck.
just like over the top, like, and it's like, okay, you're an adult. What's happening? And then she calls her a twit.
Yeah. And then
which I'm going to guess Lisa's been called before in her life, and it triggered her.
Yes, because she goes into the pantry or wherever they have all the food at, and gets down to a little ball in the corner and just starts crying.
Hyperventilating, crying, like.
And some of her friends come in, they're like, Lisa, what's wrong? And she's like, she called me a twit. And then someone, I don't remember who, said, what's a twit? And they have a discussion about, I think it's this. Nobody absolutely knows the true definition of a twit in that room.
Nobody does.
No.
Somebody's like, I think it's somebody's ditzy. But the whole time she's like crying in the corner. And then she yells, I am a goddess. Like, okay. What's up with this season? It's not usually like this. It's weird. All right.
Yeah. There's a lot of drama and people just all up in their feelings in this so far.
And then Angela does something that I think is very Trumpian in a way. Like, she goes to Tucker because Angela knows Quinn has the other power, and Tucker thinks it's Lisa who has the power. And so he's like, it's Lisa. Well, Angela's like, I'm still on the block and I don't want to go home, so I'm going to go tell Tucker that it's Quinn that has the power, and I don't want to I don't want to tell all the details, but if y'all are going to vote me out, I'm going to create havoc. So basically, if I don't get my way, if you don't vote for me, there will be violence, or if I walk out that door, it's going to be a dramatic exit. I mean, who cares? You'd be walking out the door.
Yeah. Oh, I forgot to mention. Oh, no, wait, we didn't get to that part yet. That reminded me of a part, and I was going to be like, oh, I wrote this down, but no, we haven't gotten there yet. So veto game.
So it's another puzzle.
Yep.
That
they have to
put
assemble
together.
a security shield.
It was so funny because when they were describing it, it just seemed like such a convoluted competition that I was like, this has to be figured out in like 1 minute. How are they going to get this in 1 minute? And the other two, like Lisa and Angela were just struggling.
Yeah. But Tucker comes out and bam, 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 bam.
Maybe it was his hair and the way he was talking that made him look very Jim Carrey-ish.
Yeah.
Didn't Jim Carrey have like little in Ace Ventura?
In one of the Ace Venturas, he had the little pigtails. Yeah.
And
because he had like little twists in his hair.
And if you don't know that Tucker is a master of puzzles, he will tell you 100 times at the end of this puzzle game.
Yeah. But I mean, he did go quick.
Very excited.
I mean, I don't want to keep feeding into his ego, but he put that puzzle together real quick.
He's so douchey.
So he wins. and Angela and Lisa are on the chopping block. I will say, I thought it was hilarious when Tucker won, how excited everybody else got. Like, yes, those are the two who should be up on the block.
Well, and
we're so happy for you.
And how, like, Angela, like, leached onto him. She, like, locked arms with him and was, like, wouldn't let him go. And it was just a very weird thing. She's just very odd.
So they go right into the voting.
You're all excited. I wrote, let go of Tucker, Angela. Everyone's excited except Angela. She's crying. And then they had that another awkward moment where Julie Chen, Moonves, very clearly says, this is the time, if you want to strategize, to take some people into another room and try to strategize and blah, blah, blah. And they're all just standing around. And then she's like, okay, fine. Just give you... Like, come on, big brother. You've been around for 26 years. You can figure this out.
Yeah.
So they just need to figure that out. So then they do the speeches. Yeah, Angela gives her speech first, which is completely screaming and unhinged. And I like, does Big Brother pay her every time she screams, a big freaking brother?
Maybe. That's
we get it.
One
You're
of the
excited
conspiracy
to be here.
theories.
Crazy.
She's being
Oh, yeah.
paid.
Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't doubt it.
She's plant.
She reminded me in her speech, you know that Kristen Wiig character that that can't hold a surprise in? Yeah, she reminded me of that.
Yeah, she was on the verge of popping.
Yeah.
And then Lisa gets up and comparatively is very low energy. She's like, hey, guys.
Yeah. I hope that you all do what you said you were going to do.
Huh?
And
I hope that we all have an understanding.
I don't know.
She was just so confident. And Angela is just so weepy because she's so certain she's going home.
And everything that they said, everything they showed was every single person is getting rid of Angela.
Yeah.
But I wrote this down too because it clicked to me another thing. I think it's the way he talks, but Tucker, I don't know if you get this reference. He reminds me of Doris, which is Rosie O'Donnell's character in A League of Their Own.
I mean, I know of the character.
Like when you know, like I don't know if you know this scene, but it's in the beginning, and the girls are all trying out. I've watched this movie way too many times, and they're talking about how there's all these girls on the field and they're not all going to get on a team. So Madonna says, so some of yous are going to have to go. And then Doris throws a baseball at Gina Davis's character.
And she catches it. Yeah.
And then Doris goes, okay, some of them are going to have to go, kind of a thing. And that's exactly how he is.
Is it the Boston thing? Is that what it is?
It must be. So then they vote.
Yeah.
And I got to tell you,
I was shocked at the way this vote went.
I was Angela angry. I was Angela. Instead of batshit crazy, I would just be Angela shit crazy. I was like yelling at the TV. 11 votes to 1.
11 to 1 for Lisa to go home. Two things I want to point out. First, poor Kenny comes in like he has nobody in the house. He's just they're all like Lisa, 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 and he's like Angela. And it's like, oh, Kenny, you're so on the outs.
I do like Kenny.
I do like Kenny, but he's on the outs.
Yeah.
The other one is Quinn comes in and he's like, I'm voting for Lisa for some reason. And it's like, for some reason, know why you're voting for someone when you're voting for them.
Yeah, he knows why. He's voting for Lisa to leave because that's what everybody else wants. And if you don't vote that way, then people are going to say you're not to be trusted.
You lemming.
So then I wrote down winter vibes, Lisa. Winter vibes?
Oh.
No. Angela's crying. I made note of that again.
Oh my God. Because the house is quiet when they're like, and Lisa, you are going home. And it's all quiet. And all you hear is low weeping coming because the camera's on Lisa because she's the one going home. It's her moment. And all you hear is from Angela. And it's like, at least turn her mic off. It's not her moment.
Yeah.
And all you hear is, as they're all saying goodbye, is her weeping.
For whatever emotion you're hearing from Angela, you are seeing nothing coming from Lisa.
No.
She's in total disbelief.
Stunned.
And she's just staring. And she's giving people hugs. Like, she's not making eye contact with anybody. She's just like...
Yeah.
And then she'll reach out and she'll hug somebody.
You ever see the movie Firestarter?
Yes.
It's given very much Firestarter.
Yeah. Here is the last note that I made about about Thursday's episode. Someone is dying tonight at the hands of Lisa. Someone is not of this earth anymore that crossed her in a way that she could do something about it.
That would be tied into my last note. It was probably Tucker, because his dance at the door as she's walking out is giving like, bye, bitch.
Yeah.
Bye, Felicia.
I mean, she was in such shock. Even during the whole interview with Julie Chen, it was crazy. Now, I'm going to say one thing I don't like that they're doing with Big Brother. Another thing. Usually, when you've got somebody sitting up there and Julie interviews them and then they're going to leave, they play messages that the house guests have left them, where they would say, like Quinn would say, listen, sorry, I wanted you to stay. I really wanted Angela out, but the house wanted you out, so I had to do that. And people will admit, like, I'm in an alliance and I did this, and sorry I backstabbed you, but it's just the game, right? Blah blah blah. But they're not showing those.
No.
They're saying like, oh, go online and watch these kind of things. And I'm
not
like,
gonna
just
do that.
play them. I'm not going
going online.
I'm a fan, but I don't want to work.
You already suck 3 nights out of my life. You're not getting any of my online time.
So, speaking of 3 nights, so we watched... Because
the concert last night.
We had to watch it today.
If you're listening to this on Monday. If not, then last Sunday. We had to watch it this morning.
Yeah, we had to watch it this morning. And I noticed right off the bat, this is where Quinn says he really wanted Angela to go because she knows about his power up and blah, blah. But you know what I noticed in that speech? I think he's trying to grow a mustache.
Is he?
It's
not working.
It's not. And there's a cartoon character, and I can't remember which cartoon it is, where somebody has like 5 little lines here, and it looks like he's trying.
Steve's friend on American Dad.
Yes. Yes, it is.
That is who he is.
And I'm just kind of like, dude.
He's giving me who are those 3 guys on SNL? The 3 ones who do like the little videos. They just had a movie come out last year.
Something.
Yeah. I feel like he would fit in with those 3.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't dislike it because he's kind of like, he gets all of it. You know, and I like people that get all of it.
I don't
see all the
dislike
sides.
him, but yeah, he's a little much sometimes.
Yeah, but I can't listen to Angela anymore. Yeah, Quinn, as an old fan of Big Brother, he is the one who screams in the diary room every time he talks. Yeah.
The way everyone looks at each other after Lisa goes and Angela's like, I just want to thank you all and say I love each and every one of you. And they cut right to Quinn because of the whole blow up. And just they're looking at each other like, okay, Angela. And she's got to make every moment about her.
Yeah.
It's so annoying.
And she keeps saying, I love you all, and I'll make you proud. No, you're going to go crazy on somebody in a minute.
Yeah.
And when she made that comment of like, I just need to lay low. You don't know what that is.
You're incapable. No, I won't say it.
So then we have...
I was going to say something rude. I know.
Sometimes I'll say things on here and I'm like, oh, maybe we should edit that out.
You know what I'll say? I was just going to say the only time in her life that she'll lay low is the day she dies.
Oh,
but it's true.
Well, I appreciate you making me seem a little less crazy this podcast. So then we got the head of household competition, right? And this is a typical head of household competition. Where there are beams, they have to walk across the beams. Usually it's to get from point A to point B the fastest. So this was an interesting twist that they had to hit a series of numbers and you got points for the numbers, and then you had to hit them all before they light back up or go back out, and then you have to hit them again. So the point is you've got 45 seconds to hit as many of the numbers as you can to get the highest score without falling off the beams.
Yeah. Yeah.
We're going to go through the... So T-Core starts.
T-Core starts.
She gets 9.
9.
Which is good.
Which everybody's like, oh, T-Core got 9.
Yeah.
So then I was like, oh, okay, so that's going to be the standard. And then Quinn comes up and doubles it. He gets 18. I was like, oh, so T-Core didn't do as well as we all thought she did, because that's a very low number compared.
Right. And then Chemo's up, and I didn't write anything down about Chemo because, like Chemo's entire existence on Big Brother, right now, it's non-existent.
No. I mean, they show him get ready, and then it's like they cut to Chemo got 12.
Yeah,
they're going to show him play.
Yeah, it was funny watching him try to walk across. I do appreciate the gays. I do. I mean, obviously. And so I liked watching him walk along the beams. Like, it was very prancy,
Now,
and I appreciated
if you fall, you get to go back to the beginning and start over.
But you lose all your points.
Yeah, you lose all your points. You have to start from the beginning. But I will say I didn't even bother writing what the totals were because everyone who fell got like near no points. So Cam went and he fell.
Yeah. I did write, but some people fell hard. Brooklyn
fell.
Which is always funny
and,
because
slammed her.
When you watch it a lot, you start to get like the editing will go like there'll be a contestant who will be like, "This is going to be my competition. I'm going to kill this competition."
Yeah.
And the very next thing is them falling on their ass and getting hurt. And so it's kind of funny. They did that with Brooklyn because Brooklyn's like, "Oh yeah, I'm a a balance beam. I'm a beauty pageant queen. I'm going to get this." And then bam, and then she falls again. Bam. But then Rabina though, she fell hard.
Yeah. Rabina. At least you got your moment on the show now.
Yeah, there you go.
Then Joseph goes, and Mustache got 12. He was followed by Angela, who got 9, but was, oh my God, she was like watching a turtle. I mean,
so
she's
dramatic.
so slow. Then Mackenzie, I felt so bad for Mackenzie.
And I gotta tell you, I was rooting for Mackenzie.
Yeah.
Because Mackenzie's on my side, right? Everything in my body is telling me Angela needs to go. And so, but that's Mackenzie. Mackenzie wants Angela out. It's not about the game. It's about get her out, and then we can play the game.
Yeah.
So she's killing it.
She got up to 21. She was in the lead. And in the last second,
she had 1 second to go. Fell. 0.
And I was like, as soon as that happened, I was like, if nobody gets more than 21, I'm going to feel so bad for Mackenzie. And then Cedric comes on, and he right before he started, he said he's going to do-si-do tippy-toe, which cracked me up. Loved it.
I'm a fan.
I'm
a fan of Cedric.
Yeah.
He's my favorite so far.
Yeah.
And he got 27 points.
27. Even if Mackenzie had been able to stay on at that last second, she still would have lost. Then Kenny came on, got 21. Tucker was another one who was doing real good and then looked like he might even beat Cedric. And he fell at the last second. And then he knew he had like 3 seconds left, so he just like strolled across the beam to let his time run out. And then the last one, Leah, she ended up falling, and Cedric is our new head of household.
Bang, bang, bang.
Good for him.
Yeah, I like him. And then I liked immediately after he had a conversation with Kenny. And I like Kenny and I like Cedric. And I thought that they would make a good match to work together. So it was kind of like, they confided in each other what their real jobs were, which is a good sign that they're going to partner up. But then right after doing that, Kenny's like, I miss my family. And if I get voted to go home, that's okay.
Yeah. I wrote this down. I was like, is Kenny telling him he wants to go home?
Right. It's weird.
That seems weird gameplay.
Yeah, I think what he was saying is it's okay if you put me up, and if I go home, I'm fine. If I stay, I'm fine. But if you need to put me up so that you don't get in trouble by people, that's fine.
Yeah. Cedric did point out before he started talking to Kenny, they're all cheering for him. He's like, from mascots to back-to-back head of households, and Chelsea did not like that he pointed that out.
Yeah,
she's
well,
like,
it is.
Way to put
smart.
a target on our back.
Yeah, and it does because people pay attention to all that. The contestants that have watched the show for years, they pay attention to everything that's said. So she was right to feel that way.
Yeah,
which also made me think like the job title that Cedric seems to have doesn't seem to fit the personality of Cedric.
No.
He gives me this MTV Cribs vibe. It's like, yo, MTV, this is my favorite part of the house, kind of thing.
What I will say, when I was in the military, knowing the personality of people who serve and then finding out what their job is, some of them just do not match up. Some of them you're like, I can't believe they let you work on planes. You're an idiot. So there's a lot of that in the military where
he's like a military analyst, right? Is that what Cedric is? Yeah. So it's like, it's not... That sounds like you're looking at numbers and you're using that to develop trends. I think when people hear that, they may think like it's sort of like CIA spy kind of work, but it's really just analyzing data to spit results.
I don't know the specifics of the job, but it didn't sound like it was,
I don't mean to say it's like just Tucker. That, but
Like Tucker's in the CIA.
Tucker went from deep CIA, deep state training
to making
power bars
recipes.
Maybe that's his cover.
It might be.
I mean, I've seen worse movies. We'll talk about one in a minute. So that's I really like the conversation between Kenny and Cedric.
Then Cedric talks with Mackenzie, and it kind of was looking like he's going to put her up. So I thought this was a really good move on her part. She told him her power, which she's done the last couple of times, which I think is good gameplay. It's like, she told him, listen, this is what my power is. If you put me up, I'm going to take myself down. But if you don't put me up and you go up next time, I will use my power to take you down. And that it gives some safety.
Right, it really does, because she's going to be safe. And now there's a potential she'll save you, which is great because a lot of people want to shake up the house. So if somebody wins, like if Leah wins, then that sort of guarantee helps. Although Chelsea's right, because Cedric told this to Chelsea, and Chelsea's like, she ain't going to save you.
Yeah, because then they cut to...
Because it's got to be used by
Leah
next
and
week.
Mackenzie sitting there. I guess this is when Chelsea was HOA. And Mackenzie and Leah are saying how Cedric is acting weird and all this stuff. Basically talking about Cedric. So I was like, be careful what you say to some people.
Yeah. Well, that's the game, right? Is like you don't know who's in an alliance. So when a head of household says, who do you think should go home? You're going to say anybody but you. So you have to give names. And then they ended up giving the name of her greatest ally in the house, which meant, you're the targets. Very fascinating. Then this thing happened that cracked me up.
Oh,
it's so funny.
So he's going to put the shoe up? Huh?
Oh, I was going to talk about the showman's thing.
Oh, yeah. That I did write that down, too.
So the showman, because Cedric knows the two he's putting up. He's going to put up Angela and Kenny, and he can't figure out who the third is.
So he's decided, like Tucker did last time, he's going to go around and ask someone to be a pawn.
Now, he did this thing that was hilarious to me, where I wish they would say what time it was, because it looks like it's like 3 a.m, and he walks in and he fucking wakes Joseph up.
Kenny's snoring in his bed. Joe's just sitting in his bed.
Like Kenny's snoring woke Joe up as Cedric walked in, and he's like, "Oh, you're awake. Come up here." Like he drags this guy out of bed to say, "Will you go up as a pawn?" And Joseph's like, "Yeah, no."
So he asked Joseph to be a pawn. He asked Leah to be a pawn. She said no. Asked Rabina to be a pawn. She said no. So that's when he started talking to Joseph, and Joseph is like, no.
Then he asks. Then your boy comes up.
My Tucker.
Your boy's like,
I'll do it again.
I got this.
I did it once. I'll do it again.
I can win anything. I'm your cousin from Boston.
Joseph, Cedric, and Tucker, they're all talking. And Joseph is basically trying to talk Tucker from putting himself up. And Tucker's like, yeah, maybe you should put Mackenzie up. And he's like, no, she's got that power. And he's like, put her up and force her to use it. Take it out of play. But he's not going to do that because that's going to has her insurance next week.
So he's not going to do that. But I do agree with Kenny. See, this is like the whole detective thing. Like he's like, you need to put, you got to get you got to break up the women, and you got to send them out, because they're gonna form an alliance, and they're gonna have each other's backs. So if you don't do something to break that up, then you're gonna be gone. And so that's smart play, because it's actually what people do in the game. Yeah. So I thought that he was kind of onto something there. I think he's a smart player. I wish his heart was in it more.
Yeah. There was this other thing, because they cut to the HOA room, or the HOH room, which it's Cedric's room right now. And all the girls are laying in his bed. Not just laying on his bed, but like Leah's under the covers, and it's like, that's not your bed. What the fuck are you doing?
Yeah.
I'd have told him to get the fuck out of my bed. You didn't win. So obnoxious, because he's over in the corner in a chair, and all the girls are in his bed. I'm like, get the fuck out of my bed. Anyway, so they go to the showman's thing. Now, by this time, in all Big Brothers, like, so if Matt didn't go home, there'd be a showman's between Matt and Mackenzie. Yeah. Right. So there's
typically a showman's going on at this time, so they're addressing this fact, and it's funny because this has never happened in any season that I've watched. So Chelsea starts describing this, which, by the way, Chelsea and Cedric, or Chelsea might actually be my favorite.
Yeah,
like so far, like she might be the one that I want
like
to
Chelsea.
win.
Cedric's still my favorite
because I mean he's just adorable. He has beautiful eyes. But when it comes to the game, she seems to be dialed in.
Yeah.
Right. He seems to be a little aloof about it to me. But so she's talking about how she's in this. She's like, there's a showman's hopefully budding, and she's like, but they can't because people here are all in love with the wrong person. So first they show Chemo talking to Cam.
Yeah.
And just kind of admiring the fact that Cam is this very handsome, buff dude. And it was kind of funny that they started
Shirt
with
off,
that.
good muscles.
Because it's basically about people barking up the wrong tree. So Chemo barking up Cam's tree, wrong tree. So she's like, Chemo's kind of into Cam, but Chelsea's into Cam.
Yeah.
But Cam
is into Leah.
And Quinn is into Leah.
Yes.
So they got a little competition going over
But Leah doesn't like either one of them.
Doesn't like one of them.
Leah likes Tucker. So
Which
Tucker,
is so different. I mean, she's a chubby chaser, and this guy's got like 2% body fat.
Yeah, she's a liar, is what she is.
Yeah,
she likes chubbies for their personality.
she's like David Spade's character in Grown Ups, where he pretends to be gay to get close to the hot girls.
But then they say Tucker is into the fish. I wrote down Tucker has it deep for the fish, and if you watch The Boys, you get that reference.
Yeah, that was pretty funny.
They go on the back and forth you mentioned with the Kenny saying, the girls seem to like be forming an alliance with each other, which I don't know if they are or not, but I feel like the show hasn't really shown that the girls are all bounding together. But I guess there's a sense of paranoia that I obviously, as watching, I don't have the same paranoia that they have.
Well, I mean,
I'm
you're
seeing everything.
you got to think like it's a week's worth of an entire week. I don't know how many hours that is. I'm not doing the math. But it's an entire week that they narrow down
Yeah.
to
3 hours.
3 45-minute shows. They pick what you see, so they don't always show you everything, but they will show you. So when Kenny wants to say he's been noticing this, well, then they're going to show you those clips.
Yeah, they showed
and that kind of thing. So
some of the girls talking.
So it does. I mean, they
didn't show what they were saying though. It just showed that they were talking.
A lot of times they end up going back in time and saying, "So here's something that you didn't see," and then you watch it, and you're like, "Oh, that's why this is the way it was." Blah blah blah.
This seems like the reality show version of the movie Clue.
Yes. 2 + 1 + 1 + 2.
So then Cedric, it's time for him to put his 3 up, and he picked Angela. We knew that was going to happen.
Not a shocker.
Not a shocker. He picked Kenny.
Not a
we
shocker.
Knew that was coming. And then I was watching that third, and I was like, come on, show Mackenzie. Stir things up a little bit. And he showed Tucker. He put Tucker up. He cowered up there. I don't know if anybody was listening while I was watching in the office, and I apologize for this, but when Tucker popped up, my brain turned off, and I was like, Cedric, you pussy.
The only argument that made sense. I mean, no, it made no sense for Cedric to put her up. None whatsoever.
Yeah.
It doesn't shake anything up. All it does is damage his game in the long run. So it's like, no matter what happens, even if she doesn't win for like 3 weeks down the line, it's you put me up, you're going up.
Yeah,
It's
but I
just the way
wanted
it goes.
someone other than Tucker.
But the only argument for putting her up would be to force America to vote and finding out who America hates.
Yeah.
That's a good argument because, they're in the house and they don't know who is liked and who isn't liked.
Yeah.
But there's no telling who to be because everybody wants to vote Angela out.
Yeah. I think Leah probably would have been a good one to put up.
Yeah, but she's still, I think that I wouldn't do it if they all know Leah and Mackenzie are together. So she may have used it to take Leah off, and then the both of them are gunning for him. So it just didn't make any sense. Plus, if somebody offers to go up as a pawn, you put them up as a pawn.
Yeah.
So anyway.
So that's where we left it.
So that's where we left it. Now, I got to tell you, I have no patience.
Sure.
So I've already read what happens in the next what happens in the house. So I know what happens with the power veto game and ceremony and all that. which I wish I didn't read ahead. So I'm not going to say anything.
Yeah. Let's save that for the next
We'll save it for
episode
the next
or the next podcast.
Yeah, and I don't know, honestly, I don't know if we're going to cover this every week. Chemo's got to step up and do something. Like, we're covering it because Chemo's gay and he's in this show, but give us something to keep talking about.
Yeah. Come on, Chemo.
Step it up, buddy.
Anyways, so along with Big Brother, we decided to watch a movie.
We did.
So
Trailer looks great.
This movie is called I Saw the TV Glow. It's written and directed by Jane Schronbrun? Something like that. I don't know how to pronounce that last name.
You're like Idina Menzel.
Yeah.
Like, you're going to sing that
The
song until you hit
talent.
the note.
This is just to give a little background, because when we actually get into the movie, I feel like you'll have some strong opinions about it. But Jane, we're on first name base here. Jane is transgender, came out in 2019, and wrote this movie as kind of a parable of her pre-transition. Also, I feel like this is important to know if you're going into this movie. She is a huge cinephile. She wrote for Filmmaker magazine, and she's one of those artsy film people. And among the filmmakers that she credits as some of her favorites are David Lynch and David Cronenberg. So if you've seen any of their movies, you kind of get an idea of what kind of movie you're going.
What's the David Lynch movie?
Mulholland Drive.
Okay.
Blue Velvet.
Okay.
They're very artsy. They don't follow linear. I'm pretty sure David Lynch did
Blue
Twin
Velvet.
Peaks.
Okay, yeah. I was like Twin Peaks. That's the weird part of it, because
Yeah.
those other movies made sense to me.
Mulholland Drive? That's a weird movie.
Blue
Velvet is a little more narrative than his typical stuff. Stanley Kubrick is another one who's kind of that.
Is he Clockwork Orange?
Yes.
Okay.
And then David Cronenberg, his most famous one probably was The Fly. He does a lot of body horror stuff. So that's where a lot of
Is that where the Ice Cream Man came from?
I think that's where the Ice Cream Man came in. That's where like the chess thing came from, I think. So she has a very specific artsy take.
Yes. I can agree with that. So it stars Justice Smith,
yes,
who is probably most popular from the Jurassic World movies.
Yes, he was also in Detective Pikachu. Love that movie.
And Dungeons and Dragons.
Last year.
That's the Chris Pine movie.
Yeah. That was a pretty good movie.
So then his counterpart. This is when they're older, because they play young kids and then they're older.
Yeah.
And his counterpart was Bridget Lundy Payne. She plays Maddie. Yeah.
This is also produced by Emma Stone. Did you notice that? Emma Stone and her husband produced this movie.
It's all making sense.
Yeah, it's all the pieces are falling. Emma Stone, particularly in the last couple of years,
is really talented.
Yeah, she's super talented, but she started producing a lot of really out there films. Have you watched that show that she's in? I think it's on Max, but it's her and that Nathan guy. You know that guy? He does the show where it's like really awkward, kind of like reality stuff. And he's like, we're going to take this man and we're going to turn, like he wants to open a coffee shop. And he turns it into a Starbucks, but he's not allowed to turn it into like a parody Starbucks. So he turns it into an art exhibit. You know the guy I'm talking?
No.
Hey, Nathan For You. You know watch any of this?
Oh, yeah. I know exactly who you mean.
Yeah. So him and Emma Stone have this show that is weird and crazy and out there. And I tried watching it, and I can't even get through it. It's just too weird. But like the last couple of years, Emma Stone has really gotten into producing these kind of weird, artsy pieces. And I feel like this falls into that wheelhouse.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. I can agree with that. I will say, let me say this. And I hope this doesn't come across as like weirdly offensive.
Not
I don't
at
mean
all.
it to be.
It's a safe space.
But like, how many films has this person written and produced or done? Directed?
2 that I'm aware of.
So this is the thing too. This is why it's like it's like a cycle or catch-22 where they're like, hey, if you're gonna have a trans role in a movie, you should give it to a trans actress. And then, Hollywood might say, but the trans actresses aren't talented enough to carry this movie. But then the trans actresses haven't had the opportunity to, so they haven't had the experience, and maybe giving roles down the line would make people better. Like, I mean, it's like Tom Cruise's first movie wasn't a superb actor, you know what I mean? And or anybody who's an actor. So it's like it's like with generational wealth. You're not giving people the opportunity to gain the experience to produce amazing stuff.
Right.
So you should give them that opportunity to do that. So this is a ladder, a rung on that ladder to great success in the future, but maybe not right now. Maybe not great success with this one.
Now, I don't know if you're specifically talking the characters in this movie,
No,
but
I'm just
the
saying, like, in
characters
general.
themselves weren't written trans.
No,
Right.
I'm not. I'm just saying, like, so this filmmaker wrote this film, but it's only made a couple of movies. If this was the 15th movie that this filmmaker made, I might have liked it much better because there would be a lot of experience behind it, and it might be different. So I'm just saying, like, the more experience that people have, the better that that they could be down the line. Like with gay actors, there's just a lot of movies starring like gay actors and gay movies from like the 80s that are really bad movies.
Yeah.
But where do you got to start somewhere? You can't, you're not just going to come out with a home run right off the bat.
Yes.
Most of the time. Anyway, I know that it makes no sense, but it's just.
I will say, I mean, obviously, you can tell by the way that you're prefacing it that you did not like this movie at all.
It's choices that are made. It's the way it's produced and done. And none of my reasons are. It's not my take or my style. So when there's this scene, I don't want to get too ahead of anything, so I don't know what you want to talk about, but there's a scene like they're kids, right? They're kids. He's in the 7th grade and she's in the 9th grade. 2 years later, they have adult actors playing them. It's just 2 years from the 7th grade to the 9th grade for him, and he aged 30 years. So that was weird for me. And then he never aged again. And then it jumped 8 years ahead, and he looked the same. So it was just kind of like, that was weird. But when they get back together, right, because there's a period in this movie where these two people are separated, and they come back together, and she says, "Do you remember that TV show that we used to watch?" And I thought that nothing is that dramatic. Every line that she has is spoken in the most dramatic thing, and there's so many long pauses. I was like, this movie could have been like 30 minutes if people just picked up their cues. But then it's not the actors at that point. That's the direction. They're being told to do that, and it's being edited that way on purpose. And it's just this bizarre, drawn out, overly dramatic, angsty teen sort of thing that really just isn't my cup of tea.
Yeah, I mean, when I was watching it, I got the feeling that it was put together that way to kind of create an uneasiness within the movie.
Success.
Which obviously didn't land for you, but I think that was the idea that they were going for.
I get it, right? It's like symbolism. I get it. So, but it's a show about these two friends, these two people who lack friends, or the seemingly the ability to make friends, but they become friends with each other, and their friendship is based on watching this TV show. Called Pink Opaque.
Yeah, the Pink Opaque, which is taken from Jane's obsession with Buffy the Vampire Slayer when she was younger. So there's a lot of, and I don't know if you watched Buffy or if you were a fan of Buffy.
I was a huge fan.
I was obsessed. I am still obsessed. I consider it one of the greatest TV shows ever made. I have watched the entire series probably 25, 30 times. It's one of my comfort shows. So there's a lot of Easter eggs in there for Buffy fans. specifically, like when they show clips of the show and they show the credits in the show, she uses the same font that they used on Buffy the Vampire Slayer. One of the characters has a cameo. The mother of the house that Owen says that he's going to stay the night at is played by Amber Benson, who is Tara from the show, who is one of the lesbian characters. So there's a lot of reference. They call the Mr. Melancholy in the show the Big Bad, which was a phrase that came from Joss Whedon when he was writing Buffy the Vampire Slayer. So there's a lot of references to that show where she got that obsession watching the show when she was growing up. Owen and what?
No, I read one of my notes and it made me laugh. I'm sorry. It was just I just wrote this. If Kristen Stewart's soul in the vampire movies took human form, it would be the character Maddie.
Yeah.
She's the human equivalent of this move, where Kristen Stewart puts her hair behind her ear. Yeah. But I mean, I was a big fan of Buffy. It's one of there's like a handful of shows that when they were on TV, I had to be at home and watch it live.
Yeah.
I wouldn't record it. That was back when we would put the cassette into the player and hit record.
Yeah.
No, I watched it live. I was a big fan, so I appreciate that. And I got to tell you what, the concept of this movie is really good. I just don't really appreciate the execution of it.
Yeah. So I don't know if you want to go through the whole, relive the entire story. I don't want to chalk up trauma for you.
But I don't think you want me to. No, I really didn't write a lot. Oh, I did make this note too. Like, so the show within the show, this show, the Pink Opaque, the evil weird face that lives in the moon, that
Mr. Melancholy,
yes. Who is basically sends demons to destroy, or monsters to kill these two people who have this connection and are trying to bring him down, right? But there was a clown, right? Was it the ice cream monster or was it a clown? But I just wrote this line down. This is one of the lines in the show within the show, which is so horrifically cheesy, and it's supposed to be.
Yeah.
But they were like, "Hey, bozo, Estee Lauder called. They have a few ideas about this wardrobe you're wearing." That's all they said. Yeah. That was their I'm gonna get you line. You know what I mean? Like, I'll be back. It was, "Hey, bozo, Estee Lauder called," because that's I feel like that was a very 80s thing. You know, to say so and so called. I liked it. That's all I'm saying.
So let's go to the 8-year jump, because there's the first part of the movie is him going to see the show with Maddie, and then she ends up disappearing, and she disappears. She runs away, and she disappears around the same time that the Pink Opaque gets canceled after 5 seasons. So it does a time jump 8 years, and Owen is working at a movie theater. He's, if this is at all possible, is even sadder and more awkward than when he was a kid. It just seems to just get weirder and more awkward for him in life.
He has a hard time. He doesn't make eye contact with anybody, and he won't speak up about things. I mean, it had at one point, it reminded me of past employees here.
Yeah. And
I made a comment or something about that, about how that reminded me, especially in a certain position. Like, there's been like 3 or 4 people have cycled through who have reminded me of this. And then at one point, like I said that, and then at one point down the line, I'm like, how does somebody like this even get by in life? And then my friend Barb said, apparently you hire them.
That's true. That
made me laugh.
But I don't know if you noticed his parents, because his mom, who's earlier in the movie, she dies. She gets a disease and dies. Yeah. His mom is played by Daniel Detweiler, who was in last year, 2 years ago. She was in Till. She was the mom in Till.
Oh, okay.
And then the dad is played by Fred Durst from Limp Bizkit.
Really?
Yeah.
Good for him.
So he's out there
Speaking
still
of
working.
crusty old curmudgeons, that's what that was.
So Owen is leaving work, and he comes to this down power line, and there's scattered around, because in the beginning of the movie, Maddie's reading an episode guide for the Pink Opaque, and he comes across, and there's like pages from this guide, but when he picks it up and he reads it, it says season 6, episode 1. So it's like, this is like episodes for a season that didn't get made. So he goes home, and he's again just feeding into like the weird awkwardness of it. He comes home and he's like, "Hey, Dad, sorry I'm late. The power line's down." And his dad's just sat up on the couch, just staring at him. And then nothing comes of it. They just cut to the grocery store, and Owen's grocery shopping, and staring at him similarly is this girl who's just staring at him in the produce area. And then he realizes it's Maddie, and that she's come back after 8 years. And she's like, let me take you to this place so I can tell you what happened to me.
And they went to some
bar
where there was a concert.
Yeah, and that was another kind of homage to Buffy the Vampire Slayer, where they would have like just breaks in the episode because they'd like go to the bronze, and then for like 30 seconds, 45 seconds, you would just watch this band sing a song.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of cuts in this scene of just watching these bands sing that have nothing to do with the story.
And it was sort of reminiscent of a Watermark employees band.
What? Oh yes.
In this
one of them,
this movie, one of them was like sings in the style that somebody here sings, and I was like, oh look, she works there. Yeah, that's fun. She got hired in a movie. Good for her.
One of them, not that one, but one of the singers was Phoebe Bridgers. I don't know if you're familiar with her, but she is a well-known lesbian singer.
Oh, good for her.
So that was another cameo in there.
Distracted by this scene, first of all, by the amount of time it took to deliver from one line to the next. But then I thought, do they get paid by the number of times they say the Pink Opaque? Because they said it a lot in that scene.
I just think they don't want you to forget the name of the show.
I will never forget the name of that show, so job well done.
So Owen asked Maddie where she's been, and I won't go through it all, but just a brief synopsis. Maddie went to work at a Build-A-Bear in Phoenix and was miserable, had one of her coworkers bury her for $50, and when she died, I will use air quotes, when she died, she passed on to the show, the Pink Opaque. And in Maddie's head, the real world that they live in is this place in the show they call the Midnight... Oh, what was the name of that? The Midnight Realm, I think is what it's called. And that the real world is the Midnight Realm, and that Maddie and Owen are actually the two characters from the show, which is the real world. And that Mr. Melancholy cut their hearts out and buried them alive, and that they created this world that Owen and Maddie are living in. So Maddie has come back.
Right, where they're sent to die in this world.
So Maddie has come back to get Owen to bring him back to the other world, the Pink Opaque, so that they can start on season 6. Basically, that's what happens.
Right. And I mean, I guess that makes sense too. It probably is the way, because what I figured is that they were this duo fighting evil, so the evil killed them and sent them away so that they could wreak havoc on this world. And that Maddie, I mean, I guess it would be like, let's get together and go back and make season 6. And another way of saying that is, let's go back and kill the bad guy.
Yeah. But she
and
makes reference to start going back for season 6. Yeah. So one other thing that another cameo, I don't know if you might be, because you're a little older than me. Did you ever watch The Adventures of Pete and Pete?
No.
On Nickelodeon? That also has a weird kind of otherworldly take on the show. But that was another show that Jane is a huge fan of. And when he comes out of his house and his two neighbors are standing there in the street, those are the actors from Pete and Pete.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So another little cameo, which means nothing to you because you never watched Pete Pete and Pete.
Good throwback.
I did crack up on this part because Maddie tells Owen, come on, we're going to go out to the football field. I've already dug our graves and we're going to bury ourselves. So Owen doesn't want to do this. And he's like walking behind her slow. And they cut to a long shot of the football field. And you just see Maddie and you see Owen. And Owen just takes a run at her and tackles her down like he's a linebacker. And then just gets up and runs away. It cracked me up.
Yeah. Which... I mean, it happens a couple of times where Maddie's like, let's do this thing, and Owen chickens out.
Yeah.
Which doesn't make any sense.
Why doesn't it make sense?
I guess it makes sense.
He's scared.
Because if
he's afraid.
If he is Isabel or whatever her name is from the other world, she doesn't have her heart, so he's afraid to do anything.
Yeah.
Okay. Good movie. That's an interesting tale. Anyway,
again, the symbolism of it is that
I do get this.
Yeah.
It was not. Yeah, it wasn't. The symbolism is not hidden in this film. I get it.
Yeah. Okay. So then, his dad ends up dying of a stroke. And he makes reference to starting a family of his own, although you never see the family.
And I would like to see an entire movie about how this person who cannot look anyone in the eye or have a conversation fell in love and made a family.
Yeah. So he also mentioned the Pink Opaque because it's over the course of a couple of years, is now on streaming. He goes back and rewatches it, saying it feels cheaper and cheesier from what he remembers.
Yeah, that was weird to me too.
Yeah.
It just, I mean, I get it. It's like the whole. To me, it just felt like, we're defeated, and I'm just gonna die here, and all of it, and gave up. So then. The show then was like just cheesy at that point and not this horror show.
It wasn't the amazing thing that he had remembered it being. So then fast forward 20 years and he's working at this, basically a Barnes, or where's that place we went? With the video games and stuff.
Oh,
like a Dave and Buster's.
Yeah.
It was like a Dave and Buster's kind of thing.
It did look fun.
He's old and sickly looking. Now, I did the math. If it was 20 years later based on the jumps that they did, and he started in the 7th grade, he's only like 43, and the dude looks like he's in his 60s.
Well, life is hard on you when you don't have a heart.
Yeah. He's old and sickly looking, and they're at a birthday party in this Dave and Buster's place, and he's back in the corner, and they're singing Happy Birthday. And he just starts having a full-on panic attack and screaming like he's dying, and nobody's paying attention to him. The world is frozen, and he's just spazzing out in the corner.
Kind of my favorite part. It was my favorite part of the movie. They're singing Happy Birthday, and then he just starts screaming.
Yeah. So then he goes into the bathroom and cuts his chest open and opens it up, and it is the TV screen in there. It's the static from the TV. And he gets dressed, whimpering and wheezing. Then he goes back out and he's just apologizing to everybody for his spaz out. Says it's his new medication that he's taking. And then the movie ends.
He's awkwardly walking through the parking lot, the people who weren't even inside at the time, and just been like, I'm sorry. I'm sorry, it's a new medication. I'm sorry.
And then the movie ends. That's the end.
Yeah. So I think the end really brought it all together.
Yeah.
Cleared up any questions that I had about it.
Yeah. So did I think this was a great movie? No, I didn't think it was a great movie. Did I hate it as much as you did? No, I don't think anybody hated anything as much as you hated this movie.
I don't think that I've ever hated a movie as much as I hated this one. I have for decades told people that the worst movie I've ever seen was the movie Avalon. I was not a fan of it. It's Elijah Wood was in it when he was a kid. It was one of the movies he did as a bunch of movies as a kid, and I did not like that movie. In fact, I took it back to Blockbuster and got a refund because I told the guy it was the worst thing I'd ever seen. And but I think that there's a new one, and poor Jen who rented it for me. It's like, I was like, I'm glad I didn't hit buy. It's just, yeah, I just wasn't a fan of it, but that's okay.
Yeah.
Not everything is for everybody, you know. And
Yeah.
I know that it makes it way more entertaining when we're into something, but I didn't like this movie so much that the idea of talking about it wasn't even exciting. Even like saying all the things that I wrote down about it, or they're just not worth saying. Because like just when you talk about like whether you're going to give it a grapes, like 1, 2, or 3 grapes, like it doesn't even have grapes because it's so bad. They're just dried raisins, and it's all of them. It has all of the dried raisins. No, I give it 1 grape because I feel like we're supposed to do 1 to 3, so I give it 1.
You can give it no grapes. I think it's a valid, if you want to say no grapes.
And I hate to be this way about anything. I mean, you know what? I mean, at least they're doing it, you know? It makes me sad for the documentary Watermark made and that doesn't have this wide distribution, but there's these movies out there that do. It makes me sad. Why doesn't Emma Stone I want Emma Stone to be the executive producer of this documentary so it gets more airplay.
Does it worry you that years from now, couple of yahoos will be doing a podcast and say that documentary is the worst piece of shit I've ever seen in my life?
I don't mind. I don't mind, actually. I don't, because I get it. Like, art is subjective. And let's just say, you can say film and movies and entertainment is subjective. This I would say is like someone's work of art.
Yeah.
And because, you know, it is very artsy and it's their work of art. And so good for them. They had this idea, and it is a great idea. Like, the idea that the people that are watching the show are the actual show is fascinating to me, and so it's a great idea, and they had a platform to do it, so good for them. And I, like you said, and so anyone who's listening to this that loves this movie or knows the people who made it, or even you, the director listening, I am just some yahoo who's talking about movies that he watches and his opinion of them. So you know, you take it with what it is. So if people want to, I hope years from now that this documentary Watermark made has a platform for people to watch it and talk about it. And so, you know, one person's treasure is another person's trash, right?
Indeed.
What do you think? What do you give it?
I give it 1 3/4 grapes.
All right. That sounds
Not
about
quite
right.
2.
What do you think Rotten Tomatoes did?
This is A24. I don't know if we mentioned at the top of this. This is an A24 film, which I don't even know if there is a film that gets bad reviews when A24 puts it out. So, and this just seems like something critics would like. So I'm going to say critics 85. I'm going to say most audiences probably along lines of you. So I'll say like a 45 audiences.
Those scores would be accurate to me, but not to Rotten Tomatoes. 84 though for critics. So that was pretty much dead on. That was within the margin of error.
What was the audience?
72.
Oh, that's pretty good. I think that's fresh.
Is it?
Yeah, I think anything over 60 is considered fresh.
Well, if you look at my raisins,
way to go,
that
Jane.
doesn't look very fresh. No,
Way
I mean,
to go.
I you know, like I say, good for y'all. Y'all are doing it. I'm just talking into a microphone in a room in the back corner of an office somewhere. So good for you. It's just not my cup of tea.
Yeah. Yeah. We'll be back next week though.
We sure will.
More Big Brother. Something else.
Yeah, and we don't know what that's going to be, but if you have suggestions, hit us up on social media.
Yeah.
Let us know what you want to watch so that we don't have awkward talks about movies that I can't stand.
Fantastic. All right, but until then, the cork is back in the bottle.